when it comes to China, Mexico, and everything else, I feel like right now we're in a silent war.
Because I firmly believe that the Blackhawk helicopters automation system was happening.
He was a former senior advisor to the Federal Reserve. And guess who he's working for? China.
The Maverick approach.
All right. We are here. Maverick approach. The bleach blonde herself, Shannon, is in the house.
Shout out to the bleach blonde.
Hey. And not only we have the bleach blonde, but we have the one and only big homie CC.
What's up, brother?
Shaq and Kobe. All right.
Oh, no.
How you feeling, brother?
Man, I feel fantastic, man. Good to see you again.
Now
We back at it. We back at it.
We working.
We working. They've been calling for it.
I know. We had to give it to them.
How was your trip?
Oh yeah, so went to Japan. It was great. It's amazing what can happen over the short course of, because I've been to Japan like some years back.
Right, yeah, mentioned that to me.
And kind of what happened with Japan, man, like they were super advanced. Have you ever been to Japan, Shannon?
Not Japan, just the Philippines.
Okay, so the Philippines, okay. So Japan has been very advanced.
For sure.
They've been way ahead of the curve when it comes to technology. And when I went back there, I was there for about 10, 12 days, and they haven't progressed too much.
Okay.
Now, with their yen, it's at a 30-year low right now. It's been the lowest since 1988.
Here I was born.
Okay, so 1988.
36 years.
Do you remember what happened in 1988 in Japan?
That when the little dude stood in front of the tank?
Somewhat, but basically what happened is Black Monday happened.
Oh.
Their stock market crashed.
Had a crash, okay.
That correlated. They're the biggest debt holders beside China. Like they hold the most US debt. So what happened is Black Monday happened. Their yen crashes. Now, fast forward 30 plus years later, it's happening again. So I went over there and I'm seeing all this in real time. Their food is so cheap right now.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah. So like, imagine this. You have top tier gourmet food over there that's $5, $6. I'm over there with my brother. Right. So like, I'm seeing this in real time. How do you get 3 alcoholic drinks for $14?
I need to get over that ASAP.
Right?
Steal one.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
Sure.
It's crazy, right?
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
I'm seeing all this in real time. So like it's giving way to like what is happening economically, what's happening, with, I think we're in a silent war right now.
Definitely. I would agree with that. What's the proximity to Japan or Taiwan?
Not too far. Let's check that. So with Taiwan and Japan, so that's a great point you brought up.
It's just as far as the Philippines, right? So it's right across. It's like diagonal up.
So the distance is, let's see, Taiwan to Japan is, about
3-hour flight.
Yeah, about 3 hours. Flight time is
New York
about
to Miami, right? It's like a 3-hour flight.
Yeah, it's about a couple hours. So not okay. I see 4 hours here, 3 hours here. So in reference to that, you're talking about what? The chips.
You already know. That's what I was
of
about.
course.
Shaq and Kobe.
Of course.
For sure.
So what do you think is happening right now? So like seeing that in real time in Japan and everything else, how is that tied in with kind of what's going over here? Because we have a lot to, unpack with the airplane crashes and everything else.
Right. So what I will say is this. I did notice that ever since China unveiled their new stealth bomber and their new fighter jet, there's been some fluctuations in the market. And when DeepSeek AI dropping, a lot of stocks had crashed. China has a plan to be the world superpower by 2050. They poured more concrete in Africa as a staging area than the entire size of the United States of America. And I was given some information from an insider, somebody who's got a security clearance, and he pretty much had told me that the drones that we had saw doing the incursions over all airports near military bases, um, you know, according to this person, they told me that is China's warning to us, saying we're gonna take Taiwan. There's nothing you can do about it. Uh, you
And they
know,
want those chips.
they want those chips. So it's almost like a show of force is being done right now because you see with the plane crash that collided with the helicopter,
Right. Blackhawk.
they have released no flight manifest for the Blackhawk.
And they won't release the third person's name. There's no black box. And how is it that the transponder wasn't turned on until it was over Saudi Arabia had something to do with it too?
I feel like there are several countries that may be in cahoots right
That's
now.
what I think.
Because I firmly believe that the Black Hawk helicopter's automation system was hacked.
Yeah, because, okay, couple things. So they're saying that the Blackhawk was over some Saudi Arabian funded base in the area. That's one thing.
Right.
Now, when it comes to all this technology that we have when it comes to military,
Right.
there's no way that this Blackhawk is flying and can't maneuver out of the way.
Possible.
It's impossible, right?
Possible.
So going all the way back to the attacks, beginning of January,
Right.
I'm seeing, a lot of military personnel going rogue,
Definitely.
with Vegas.
And it's never a good sign when you see tier 1 operators, guys that are in Delta Force, guys that are actual special forces, you see them martyring themselves. That's never a good sign.
Right.
Under any circumstances. And we also see a lot of people try to come out and debunk certain information that the guy allegedly was inside the Cybertruck. When you start speaking about Delta, we're talking about the single most powerful tool that our military has. Some of those guys have clearances for information.
Mhm.
What did he release in his manifesto before the Tesla truck? He said that the drones were back engineered, anti-gravity propulsion system operated devices that were being launched from submarines. What did the sheriff in New Jersey say working with the National Guard? He said they seen the drones rise out the water and then go over them and head to mainland. This guy martyrs himself, and there's still rumors saying that he's alive. But for him to release certain information like that, Delta is the number 1 guys in the world. When Trump designated cartels to be terrorist organizations,
I was going to bring that up.
all of the platforms are just saying, if you sit in Delta, it's going to be a next level of violence they never seen.
Right.
But the thing is, they know the land. They know the territory. They have the same operational capabilities of any army in the world has. So things are going to get interesting over the next 7 months for sure.
For sure. And that's a great point because when it comes to China, Mexico, and everything else, I feel like right now we're in a silent war and nobody knows it.
Definitely.
Because here's the thing.
Break it down. Break it down.
What happened just now, the other day, with the plane crashing in Philadelphia?
Right.
Okay. So that was a medical Learjet that crashed 30 seconds, taking off and then crashing 30 seconds later. Okay.
Right.
Where was that plane from? It originated from Mexico. Now, the plane had 6 people on board.
Right.
It had 4 crew members, a pediatric patient, and its escort. So it was a kid on there.
Definitely.
Receiving life-saving treatment in the US,
For sure.
coming from Mexico. And they were actually going to Missouri, right? So they crashed in Philadelphia. Now, this plane had all Mexican nationals on it. Being that Trump, like you just said, just declared the Mexican cartel as a terrorist organization, that is declaring war, right?
That's war. That's a war declaration.
So could it be that this could have been a sacrifice by the cartel as a sign, making their own statement saying, hey, we can
we're
do.
not just gonna lay down.
I mean,
they also don't ever really care about their people. If you ever go watch any one of those cartel movies, right? It doesn't matter how hot you are. Somebody else is underneath you waiting to cut you down.
Yeah, they killed 30,000 men in their country last year. You know, I got people down there. They say you go to the small towns, there's no men there. You know, it's been a blatant genocide amongst their own people. And I seen a video earlier today of military forces from America literally standing there armed at the border at certain border crossings. So what do we know? We know that last year, 40,000 war-age males of Chinese nationals came across the border. So if they're being stopped at that border, all they're going to do is set up shop with the cartels. That's where they get the fentanyl from. They're going to set up shop on the other side of the border, and they're just going to, all of the components and all of the technology that we got just along in this room, made in China.
Yeah. That's a fact. And then they have all of our information.
Yes.
The same thing that they ran with DeepSeek.
Yes.
The same thing they ran with Red Note. So if you remember that, you know, the ban with TikTok, everybody was running to Red Note, which is a Chinese app.
Yeah, they servers crashed because of so many people.
Right. So they're using a lot of our data. And here's the thing too, a lot of these apps collect your biometric data too. So they can get your pulse readings, your biometric data. They can even read your eyes to see what you get excited about when you look at ads.
Damn. That's
all that is in their language, especially TikTok, Red Note, all these apps. If you look at the terms of service, it collects your data even with when you're off the app.
This is why Trump was calling the app the Chinese Communist app.
Yeah.
That's why Senator Tim Burchett called it the same thing. Now, Tim Burchett is a senator, a congressional member. He also said that our sonar data has been compromised because all of the components and all of our sonar equipment we got from the Chinese. So imagine how many back doors, pause, that's open.
It's a big pause.
That's a huge pause. You got a pause right there. So imagine how many back doors, especially in technical terms and in computer language. Because, you know, computers are written in a language called cubic. So these people have mastered that. I firmly believe that the previous administration, the deep state Democrats, have been working with other deep state entities to weaken our country. And we're seeing the results of that now.
Yep.
You know, a lady in Chicago who worked maintenance at a condo building, she recently found firefighter gear, police officer gear, automatic rifles, C4 explosives in an apartment complex. Called the police. Bomb squad comes, removes everything. They don't say anything about it. FBI put out a warning last week about copycat attacks. Now, remember when you was reporting on the Humvees that were stolen?
Correct. Two Humvees got taken from a base.
An actual military base. 8 machine guns, military mounts for 50 caliber rifle weaponry.
Right.
The cartel is notorious for using 50 caliber weaponry.
Yeah.
And in Arizona last week, 30,000 rounds were seized by asylum seekers. What was those rounds was going to match with that stolen military equipment.
Right.
So now we see why Trump just froze out the former CIA director from all government buildings.
Yeah. And I think to that point too, how we're being infiltrated, a former senior advisor was just arrested. He was a former senior advisor to the Federal Reserve. And guess who he's working for? China. He was a spy for China from 2010 to 2021.
12 years.
Yeah. So he was going to China, teaching classes to Chinese and under the guise of teaching classes, and basically was giving them information about pretty much everything. You know, the U.S. Treasury, all of our financial data. They were manipulating our U.S. markets.
So let me ask you a question. You a numbers dude.
Yes.
How much money do you think that spy was able to enrich himself with by selling those secrets to China?
Oh, trillions. Trillions.
Easily. Yeah.
Like, there's no way, like what's been happening for the past 10 plus years. I mean, you got to look at like the landscape, right? So he's in office, or he was at his position. That was 2010. That was probably what, during the Obama administration. Also, you got to look at who was Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Clinton. So this is one big corrupt scene right here. So if you have somebody who works for the Federal Reserve, who's a senior advisor.
So break down to the people what the Federal Reserve is, because a lot of people don't really know. They think it's just a bank, but that's where all our gold suppliers held.
Right. Well, it's a bank owned by other banks.
Absolutely.
So the Federal Reserve is, for one, a private entity. It's not part of the U.S. Shannon, we already went down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So we will go down that whole rabbit hole of how, like, America's a matrix.
Definitely.
Because you, the flesh and blood you, is not you when it comes to the all caps, the corporation that you assume liability for.
Definitely.
So, you know, me and Shannon talked about this the last, podcast, on how they set it up to where this whole nation is a matrix, right? So every time you sign a check, every time you're signing any type, like when you get a car,
right,
you're signing off, it's already paid for by your trust.
Definitely. That
they set up for you when you were born. So when you sign off on that, you're paying for it twice, because legally, the U.S. government, all debts are to be paid by the government. Okay.
Thanks.
So when you're assuming that liability for your straw men, now you're taking the fall for that fictitious corporation in your name. So Maverick Bailey, on all caps on paper, is not me, the flesh and blood me.
It's your entity.
It's my entity. This is how they set it up. So when we got bankrupt during the Great Depression, they were like, okay, we have to revamp this whole situation. Okay.
Definitely.
So now when they implement this new Social Security system, Social Security, birth certificates, all these are instruments that they put on the market. I even have a website that you can look up where your Social Security is actually your bank account, where it's all traded. You're on the stock exchange right now.
You gotta show. I gotta take a little dive into that.
So the DTCC, Depository Trust Clearing Corporation.
Shout out to Maverick Approach, man. Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe is outside. You know,
Just saying.
There's only one Maverick, Jack. There's only one Maverick, Jack. He cooking, cook, young man, cook. For sure.
You just got to be a code breaker. You have to be Neo in the Matrix.
Got to.
Right? So you have to know what system we're in. So the DTCC, the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, is the back office for the stock exchange.
Okay.
They handle trillions of dollars a day when it comes to settling stock exchanges and whatnot. So you're on that exchange as well. So if you type in your bank account or your Social Security number, how many numbers does your Social Security number have? 9. How many numbers is in a bank account?
10.
9.
Oh, no, it's 9. Or did he get the routing?
Why is your bank account the same number of digits as your Social Security number? Because your Social Security number is a bank account that's tied to your trust.
So basically what he's saying to the viewers, just like when people say they start doing business with a corporate entity, they say, oh, they don't treat me like a person, they treat me like a number. This is where all this is derived from. So when you hear him saying this is the matrix, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
You're just a person in a system. And we working to try to free ourselves from that. The only way to do that is new media. It's spreading awareness.
Yeah.
Situational awareness at an all-time high. We working.
This is why, like, you have to bring light to these things, because people don't know that they're millionaires. They don't even know it. Because the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is making billions of dollars on you by trading your stock. This is why when you go to work, This is why they pay you a little bit out of your account every time.
So it
Right?
gives people incentive to pay taxes. So basically, when you get in Social Security after you can't work, that's your own money they already owed you.
Correct.
And it's such a small amount of money, and some people don't even see it, right? Because you got to fit all the boxes, and it depends on how much income you made prior to. And so there's like all of that, even. Like, it's hard to get your money out. Realistically, there's always money in the system. Everything we sign up for, everything we write our names on, they're just trying to figure out how to get our money out of our accounts. So you got to be careful when you sign. Without recourse, everybody.
Yeah. And that's the whole system we're in. And this is why, like, I think that going back to the government, how they pretty much just, when it comes to the left, the Democrats, right? They sold us out a long time ago. Because when you have Chinese spies,
The deep state Democrats.
yeah, nobody knows that the Democrats created the KKK.
And we was the first people to say that
Yes.
on one of our previous shows. And a lot of the fans are reaching out saying you guys were right. Because, you know, when the only way to prepare for the future is to study history. And they always say if you want to hide something, you put it in a book. We're taking the information out of the books and putting it in an audio form so people can grasp it quicker. Imagine if we weren't doing this.
Yeah.
So many more people would be lost in the sauce.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like all these attacks, everything else, I think it's all linked, because when it comes to this new administration with Trump, he just offered about, I think it was a few million federal workers severance packages to just quit, because he knows we're too overgoverned.
We have to shrink down our government.
A lot of those people were fucking corrupt. We got it. We got to cut the grass. This is the year of the snake. What happens when you cut the grass?
When you cut the grass,
Come out.
they get
Snakes will show.
revealed. They'll show themselves. That's why we see a lot of people just resigning. Because, you know, I firmly believe that when people heard this and that he was cutting federal funding to a lot of things, I feel like a lot of people fell victim to spookism.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought they were going to lose certain benefits and certain things like that. When you find out that $50 million was going to a country to pay for condoms.
Condoms, right? That was the wildest thing. I was like, $50 million. Who
What are we
approved that?
doing?
And then why?
That's
It's outrageous.
outlandish. And then they offer people here who lost their homes to fire $770 stipend.
Well, you know what that is, though? That's one big money laundering game.
And
That's
it's
money
also,
laundering.
It's also a land grab.
That too. Yep.
Because if you look into the Amazon rainforest, any researchers who do research there, they say soon as the indigenous population sees people that's not from there, they immediately try to hunt them down and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Because in history, historically, whenever they seen foreigners come, they would start fires to remove the indigenous population. Any researchers will tell you it's hard to maintain a fire in that damp Amazon environment. So when you see fires burning and raging, somebody had to use additives to create that blaze. Soon as that happens, the indigenous population moves, and now they get to gentrify that location. They get to build, they get to do things, they get to log the area.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine was on X having a tirade. He said that his estate was $9 million. His family bought the estate for $9 million. House burns to the ground. 3 months prior, State Farm lets them know they were going to rescind their insurance policy for fires. The very next day, after the property was burned down, people call and offer him $750,000 for the land.
Pennies on the dollar.
Then you got the Olympics coming to LA in 3 years. You got the theory about smart cities coming. A land grab is a land grab. And it's hard for me to believe that some of these cartels don't have something to do with that.
Yeah, because they're all over the ground. Like, they're here. They're not like some remote organization. Like, they're all through the United States for sure.
Yes, and I have information that there are several major car dealership franchises owned by cartels.
Easily. I mean, how can you get stuff into here? I mean, there's tunnels from Mexico. Then you have car dealerships. You have food coming in, like all of the produce from the South. These people have been bringing stuff in. And
Yeah.
if all these people are coming in from the South, there's guns coming in, there's drugs coming in. Like so the question is are they coming in and they strategically start to setting up places and stealing all these things to plan an attack, right?
Yeah. And speaking of tunnels, that's a great point because they just found a tunnel running from Mexico into El Paso that had ventilation, that had electricity. Like it was miles long. So
Pardon me.
they're very sophisticated when it comes to their operations. Like,
This the same group of guys who built a tunnel underneath a Mexican prison and allowed El Chapo to be able to go through a urinal, get on a motorcycle, and ride the motorcycle 5 miles to the end, was able to escape.
How many
Facts.
times did he escape? 3, right?
Third time he escaped.
Yeah.
that's
Before
crazy.
they extradited
It
him
was
here.
3 times?
It was 3 times
yeah,
he
it
got
was
out.
the
Damn.
3rd time. That's why it was like, are you kidding me?
That's wild. And speaking of land grabs too, going back to that, I found something else that was really funny too. So how you mentioned with LA, the fires and everything else, Mayor Karen Bass. Now, she wasn't there initially when it first started. She left to Ghana. Now,
Karen Bass with the gun?
she did. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that when she was in Ghana, she was there for an inauguration for a president. Okay, fine. Now, tell me why in the same area, at the same time, Ghana had a huge fire. And then guess what? Guess what they're working on? A smart city.
There are no coincidences. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Literally in this case.
Yeah. And I feel like with the smart cities and everything else, they want these 15-minute cities. If people don't know what 15-minute cities are, basically they want everything in arm's reach, most of the population to be within 15 minutes of everything you need when it comes to banks, schools, wherever, in walking distance. They want 15-minute cities because if you're too spread out in rural areas, it's harder to control people.
Definitely.
It's like Truman Show, right? That little city was a 15-minute city on a TV.
Exactly.
And then the question becomes, with all these satellite droppings, what are they testing in each one of these cities? Because I don't know if anybody ever watched the TV show Severance. They start introducing things, and if these cities have different people, different demographics, and they start watching all the stuff, introduce this thing, and so they want to see how people react. They want to see what's going on. It's control and like how much you can press.
Yeah.
And different people react to different things. So each city is demographically very different. So it'd be
Yeah.
really interesting to see if these things start to pop up. Like, what do we start to see in certain cities? What is the reaction to this stuff?
Yeah. And I feel like how you said that too, like with control and everything else, we're in a very metaphysical time as well.
Interesting you say that.
Because what is happening right now is just not surface level. It's not just physical.
Definitely.
Anytime the CIA can release declassified documents on we are living in a holographic energetic universe.
Absolutely.
At that time, I'm like, okay, nothing is what it seems.
Yeah,
you can
this-
look this stuff on the CIA website right now.
It's been declassified, CIA.gov. If you want to look more into it, you type in CIA.gov, Galactic Federation, look up Project 8200, and look up Hologram Universe.
Ooh, he said
Everybody-
Galactic Federation.
Everybody,
Let 'em know.
They have to look into this.
Man.
They have to look into this. Project 8200 is something I feel like everybody needs to do a deep dive on. Project 8200 is about the declassified files about the remote viewing program. The remote viewing program was led by a guy named Ingo Swann and a few other people. In this program, they looked up coordinates here on the Earth, Mount Hayes in Alaska, the mountain range in the Kalahari Desert, and also coordinates on Mars. This story went public about 2 weeks ago. Right after that, we see Elon Musk post a photo of a square-shaped structure on the surface of Mars. He says We need to send astronauts there to investigate. Have you seen this?
I have.
What's your thoughts on that?
Why do we need to send astronauts? He can just talk to the aliens he's friends with, right?
I see. Look, people be saying that, but a guy like Elon, in the position that he's in, like the way that he avidly calls out billionaires that are on the Epstein list, if he really knew or really was in contact with NHI, he would not be building those rocket systems the way he's building them. Because he came out and said, look, are there UFOs? Yes. But I haven't seen any footage. I haven't seen any proof of actual NHI, because if the government has secret programs with reverse engineered technology, they're not going to tell you they got it.
Right.
But I know for a fact he's been read into certain programs. He's been debriefed on certain things. But I don't think they would debrief him on actual NHI because, he's originally from South Africa. He has a vigilant personality.
Yeah.
He has an unlimited budget to do whatever he wants to do.
Do you think he has dual allegiance?
I honestly feel like his allegiance is to humanity because he's the only person who came out and told us that the human birth rate was on decline.
True.
Nobody else said that.
Which I saw in Japan. I'm seeing, this is what I saw in Japan. I saw so many females to where it's like, okay, there's not enough guys to go around. I'm seeing this in real time. So their birth rate is on the decline as well. Like they're
offering money, I heard, for people to come
they also
there.
just don't have space for some of these people, right? Like there's just not a lot of space to like live over there.
Yeah, you cannot go over there. Everything is way too small. You're 6'6".
I've been hearing that too. Like somebody told me, they say, man, bro, you would have a hard time on the train.
Dude, there's no way you can go to the bathroom. They have tiny bathrooms. The rooms that we had, how small? They were small.
See, that's why I'll be careful with traveling. Because like I was in one country one time and the toilet was a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
Did you use it?
No.
So what'd you do?
I went down to the McDonald's. I
man.
said, man, what bathroom y'all use? They said,
Man.
come on, American. They squatting down on the ground. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I don't know how you would. Yeah, I don't know how
That
that
ain't
would
gonna work
out.
for the fat man at all.
I just don't know.
You gotta lay down on the ground and use it. No, we can't do that.
And I'm not that big. Like that's
Break
the
it
thing.
down. Hold on. Wait. Did you see any of those capsule hotels?
Yes, we stayed in one.
Damn.
It's called the Millennial. Okay, so they have this place called the Millennial.
I get stuck in there.
And it looked like Squid Games in there.
Damn.
I swear to God, because they had little pods. You go in there and you shut down I'll post this.
Okay.
They have these little pods that you go into. It's like a hallway. And you have a little number at the top and you shut down your little shade and you go to sleep. It's a pod. This is literally what they have in there. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm thinking it's like a hotel room. He got a pod. I got a pod. Like, I'm like, this is for real Squid Games.
So you got to sit up in there eating everything.
Well, they have a lounge, right?
Oh, okay,
so you go to the lounge and hang out. And it's a cool little community thing. It's like,
Damn.
It's like a high-end hostel. That's what it's like.
Man, I don't like hostels. I stayed in a hostel one time by mistake. I'm on Airbnb thinking I'm getting a deal.
Where was it at?
He was in New York.
Oh, shit.
Oh boy.
Me and Dugar.
Big Dugar. Shout out to Big Dugar.
Shout out Big Dugar.
Yeah.
So, he had got there before me. He said, Gordo, it's like other people in our room. I said, what you mean? He said, bro, we got a bunk bed. I'm like, a bunk bed? So when I got there and saw it, I say, so this what a hostel is? That wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't going to work. It's like 5 white dudes and like 2 female. They looking at me and bro. I'm like, man, this just ain't the right idea. We pouring up Goulet.
Yeah.
And one of them was in rehab for like liquor before. So he's
Oh.
like, man, you guys can't have that in here. We like, what?
Yeah.
We reconvened. We had to change the location.
Yeah.
Better than the pod though.
Yeah.
That pod, crazy.
We had the pods, bro. We had the pods, and it was normal. It was cool, but it was like after a while, it's like, okay, I want a room. Like after a while,
bro, hell no, man.
you can never
It's not
Never.
gonna work.
It's not gonna work. But
I was Googling certain things out there. I say, man, Maverick out there. I started going like, man, maybe I should pull up on him. And I was like,
I don't know.
22
Big
hours
homie.
on a plane.
I don't know if Big Homie can survive in Japan. Everything's tiny there, bro. The food's amazing though.
They
Really
have-
cheap.
They have like sumo wrestler stuff, so you gotta just find where the sumo wrestlers stay.
I feel like they have their own different living quarters.
They do. They like have a little
I
town.
even looked into that too. I see the sumo wrestler quarters and stuff like that.
You know?
Yeah.
But a lot of
The
them
small
like
ones are his
6'2".
Yeah.
A lot of them like 6'1", 400. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they walking around with the diapers on. I can't live like that. Get a little too out of control right there. That ain't no lifestyle for me.
Oh man.
You want to get your photo taken. That's what you walk around Japan with one
Is
of
it true they
those.
don't got no guns there either?
They don't.
Everybody got a sword.
Oh yeah, they got some other shit. I mean, I'm pretty. They probably got like the illegal. Yeah, they probably got.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, but
I see the heavyweight samurai out there. I
yeah.
might have to give me a katana or something.
But dude, you know what's crazy though?
What? Break it
Oh
down.
man. Okay, so I've been to Japan like this is my second time. So I was there 10 years ago, right?
Oh no.
Now they haven't advanced too much since then, which is very interesting and very telling of what's going on with their economy and what's going on with their population.
You think it's that? I think it's more culture because they're very feng shui with their stuff. So they don't like to like add all these extra things. They like tradition a lot.
Yes, I do agree with that. But as far as technology, I feel like they're really on top of their game when it comes to like being forward thinking and having their, infrastructure. They do have like a lot of traditional ways, but I thought I was going to be wowed. I'm like, okay, this is cool, but nothing I haven't seen before. And the funny thing is, okay, for one, I mentioned the birth rate and everything else. They haven't really advanced. But now they have transsexuals, which I've never seen.
In Japan?
Yes. Get this. Okay,
Fucking
we went out one night.
Democrats, man. Fucking Democrats.
We went out one night, right? And I've never, they're so conservative over there. I went over there and we saw this in real time. Went out. We're going to, to the club or whatever, check out the nightlife. There's a line out the door at this one club, right?
Okay.
And I've been to this club before. Now, there's a line out the door and we're asking the bouncer, like, yo, what's going on? Like, why is it cracking like this? And we start to look. I'm like, oh, those aren't women. Those are men dressed like women.
Robots in disguise.
Man, I tell you.
They had the Autobots out there.
Yes. And they had the wigs,
Gotta be
the
careful
high
with
heels.
them
I'm
Autobots.
like, they never had that before. Thailand, yes.
They transform on you.
But this is not like the lady boy type of stuff. This is just like dudes with just wigs and like no makeup and just go.
Oh,
So it's more like drag then.
Yes.
Oh, like drag event.
Yes. And this is like, but they're not like
not
made
drag.
up. Yeah.
Man, I had to break up with a girl because of this one time. She tell me, she said, yeah, if I feel like we have children, if I should be able to take them to a drag event.
No, sir. No, sir.
Kids?
That'll be
Kids
the
are
first
drag
time I
event?
catch a
Nah.
domestic right there.
Nah,
They
we
gonna
can't
lock
do
me up
that.
day.
That's an agenda. And I feel like the whole DEI thing and the agenda and like tampons in the boys' bathrooms.
Shout out to Zuckerberg for removing the tampons
Yeah.
from the men's bathrooms at all of his facilities.
He's getting in line.
Wait, can I say?
He's getting in line.
Okay.
I-
So at one of our previous shows, we spoke about how he had came under pressure from the previous campaign. He took that personally.
Mhm.
He said on Joe Rogan that people from the Biden campaign would call him and curse him.
Mm.
This man a billionaire. He down there training the jiu-jitsu every day.
Yeah.
He didn't reinforce his body, reinforced his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I always say this, there's no remorse for a baller. There's no remorse for a boss ever.
Mm.
And he took that personally. And whatever you see, every rich dude I know is dangerous. So a guy like that, he got resources.
Yeah.
And, get back come with time. That's something I learned in the streets, but it's no difference. Any level you reach, especially a man who considers himself a man and operates in his masculinity, he gonna take certain things personal and he will strike back to the chance that he gets for sure.
Right.
He wasn't gonna sink his ship
Right.
by making an emotional choice at that time, but now it's free game. You know, this is the first time we've seen any military personnel out there backing up the border patrol agents.
Mhm.
That's, to me, that's egregious, because now we're compromising our own livelihood, our own neighborhoods, everything that we believed in. And I feel like America is back, because the fact that we able to do this, certain countries you can't do this.
Oh no, not at all.
So let me ask you a question. In Japan, is it true, like when you own a train in public places, everybody quiet?
Yes.
You,
Did y'all get video?
Man,
Did y'all get
yes.
video of that?
Yeah. No. I may have it.
Okay.
I may have it. I may have it. But
Damn.
they're like robots, because it's like everybody stays to themselves. It's very quiet in the streets.
Damn.
The only time it's really loud is like when we're going out.
Right.
But like,
right.
yeah, everybody's just like in their own little zone. They're just keeping to themselves. They eat their little meals.
Damn.
And you're looking around, you're like, damn, we the loudest people in the room. Like,
Facts.
so yeah, it's very much so like that.
Because, you know, I had one experience with a Japanese family. I had got on an elevator with them, and one of the kids was like, Shaquille O'Neal? I'm like, man, if you think I'm big as Shaq, where's y'all from? And his dad had broke it down. I was at the passport office getting my passport.
Okay.
He's like, Shaquille O'Neal. I'm like, damn, I didn't see Shaq. Because, you know, Shaq, my manager, Brian, that's his homie.
Okay.
We done been down to Big Chicken, and Brian calling Shaq. You feel? I'm like, damn, how you know Shaq? Shaq, the biggest human I ever saw.
Right.
So for that little kid to call me Shaq, I'm like,
you ain't seen
man,
nothing. Yeah.
why is going down where y'all from?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on the most current events. We were just touching on it, but what has been happening with all these plane crashes and whatnot? So first, and I have some thoughts, and I want to get your take on it. But with American Airlines, and the Blackhawk crashing into that plane, what do you think is happening? And then we'll talk about the other plane crash that just happened in Philly.
Right. So what I'll say is this. In the Iraq war, the Afghanistan war, anytime a Blackhawk went down, whenever there were SEAL team members on it, any military personnel, the manifest came out right away to list the casualties. Not seen that, and this has happened here. The modern Blackhawks have a fully automated system that they can fly on their own without a pilot. I was given information by some people that I work with, told me avoid all airlines near a military base because things is critical right now. Retired FBI agent John D'Souza became a whistleblower about 4 years ago. Last year, he said, next year, we're going to see planes falling out the sky. I spread awareness about this information, and a lot of people hit me up saying, I've seen interviews of you talking about this. This is a direct result of Chinese hackers being able to log into systems, because most of the components that are inside all of our technology is directly from China. We've seen boats crashing into bridges.
Francis Scott Key.
We've seen trains derailing when there's no obstructions on the track. We've seen the most chemical plant explosions over the last 4 years that we've ever seen. In New York, there was an entire floor of an office building that was an illegal Chinese police station and hacking station, all being operated by war-age Chinese nationals who had crossed the border illegally. Last year, according to the Department of Justice website, 52 illegal Chinese police stations used to monitor the illegals that's been operating here were shut down. How is that possible if our border was secure? It was not secure. This is the direct result of what's going on. Over Argentina last month, there's footage of a satellite coming out of space and crashing. A government insider informed me that satellite that our military shot down was the command center for those drones that we see making incursions over our airspace. You can pull this footage up. Ever since that satellite went down, the drone incursions have been a lot far and few between now. This is why you see people like Elon and other people in Silicon Valley in the tech world trying to put limitations on AI technology. Because the more we trust AI with things, the more there's a risk of security breaches. Now, Elon said that the F-22 was a shit design because the plane could be more effective if it had an AI pilot, because human beings can only withstand a certain amount of G-force. So if that plane had an AI pilot and an AI piloting system, it could do way more incredible things. So what does that mean? Of course it's coming. Then we see China come with an unmanned, multi-combat fighter jet. The fact that they revealed that, open threat. Open threat.
So is China behind this? Do you think,
Definitely.
or is it multiple entities behind these attacks?
That was good. I'll say this. It's definitely multiple entities, but the component systems for all of this is made there. So who's going to have the patches to be able to immediately tap in and bypass security so easily to operate? But for them nationals, so those hackers to get here, they got to get who controls who come across the border through Mexico, the cartel. Where does the cartel get their fentanyl from? China.
Right.
Where do they get because they banned ether in a lot of different countries. They used to use ether to manufacture cocaine. China make a alternative compound to ether. And that's where the cartels are getting that from to manufacture their drugs.
Right.
So there's definitely multiple entities working together, because this is why we've seen Trump just tell everybody, like, look, I see y'all working together to devalue the US dollar with BRICS.
Which he said, if they de-dollarize, he's going to put 100% tariff on them.
Yes, and if he does that, it's only going to enrich our country, because now we have to build infrastructure here to be self-sustainable.
Right.
The fact that we outsource all manufacturing to these companies that really are anti-America, to me, is just simply preposterous.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not how hard is it to double check what's coming into the country? A lot of the stuff is packaged prior to it coming in, right?
Definitely.
There's no one going through. And to be honest with you, what are you going to set up a whole system to check every item that comes in from somewhere else?
And the only process we have to do that is customs. And when customs is operating, there'll be one guy in this warehouse, one lady in this warehouse, and they got to sort through 20,000 packages each.
Right.
Stuff is going to get passed.
Yeah.
And then if it's in the code itself, you can't scan for that.
Absolutely.
Right?
And who make the goddamn codes? Them.
Right. And I feel like even on the inside, like I just said, how the former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve was working for the Chinese government. Not only that, but I feel like there's other moles. Now, what just happened that people may not have, seen? There was a huge port bust that happened to where they were working with Chinese nationals. Now, what happened is that a lot of, they import a lot, right? We're losing the trade war with China right now. They're making more money on us than we are on them.
Right.
Right? That's why Trump wants to impose tariffs. That's one.
Yeah.
So a lot of corruption within, though, I think this is why it's happening, because they need help on the inside.
Definitely.
So this whole bust was $200 million in counterfeit goods and contraband of all types. Now, what happened is that it was the truck drivers, the port workers, and everybody else in cahoots with Chinese nationals.
Terrible.
So it was about 8 guys, and the 9th guy actually fled, and he's still at large as of right now, and they said he fled back to China. So again, like you said, with the fentanyl and everything else, how do you think this stuff is getting in?
But this goes back to a post that you had made to spread awareness to about the guy in the Yakuza who got arrested for trafficking weapons-grade plutonium.
Yes.
He got arrested in New York.
In New York.
with weapons grade plutonium. That's crazy. So then we see before the inauguration, they were doing nuclear radiation scans before the inauguration because this guy's on American mainland with weapons grade plutonium.
Yes.
That's the precursor for a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
This is how compromised our country have become.
Yeah.
The
And
deep state Democrats is working diligently.
yeah, and I think that we've been sold out by them a long time ago.
For sure.
There's no way that China should own 400,000 acres in America,
All farmland,
all farmland and near bases.
near military bases,
So
staging areas.
there's no way we can go to China and buy land right now.
No, they won't let you.
It's impossible. So like, why are we even allowing that?
I mean, most Asian countries don't allow United States citizens to buy land unless they're doing it with somebody that lives there, right? That's pretty standard for them. I don't know why then we're allowing people to do the same.
Right. And that's the thing. Even in Thailand, like you have to be of Thai
The same,
nationality
for sure,
to
for
even
sure.
buy land over there. If not, you do a lifetime lease. So they have these leases over there to where it's
Okay,
like
okay.
30, 40 years.
Okay.
And like,
You been there?
I've been there too.
Would you live there?
No. So I was actually visiting. I've been there twice.
Okay.
And I was actually, this is not a stunt. This is not it's not a floss.
Not a flag. Not a
This is not
flag.
a flex, but I was looking into a couple years ago, right before the war, or right when the war started with Russia and Ukraine.
No doubt.
This dude in Thailand, he was selling a beach club
Shit.
for like 20 grand because his wife was Ukrainian. They had to go back.
Oh, okay.
So I was looking online. I was like, damn, this might be a good time to invest.
Might be something. To
So
look
I was
into.
gonna buy a beach club over
For
there.
sure.
And he was like, yo, I'll give you the beach club, the employees, a car, everything for like 20 grand. This is a whole business because it was in shambles.
That's
And-
right up Maverick Alley. Hold on, I get to walk right in. We go.
Yeah. So at that time, I didn't purchase. I invested in some other stuff, but
Yeah.
I should have pulled the trigger on that. But yeah, they have these leases. He had a lifetime lease. And so he can like renew it every like 20, 30 years. But like it's like these long, massive leases to where you don't actually own anything, but it's just like you have rights to the land.
So like in China, like, you know, the communist countries, like the government owns your company. Like they can take it from you anytime.
Oh yeah. China's a different beast. That's a whole nother story.
But the way y'all be making, I understand why they got that public credit system, like your social
the
credit
social
score.
credit scores. Yeah. Do you think that's coming here?
That's how you act, right?
Yeah.
But I mean-
Some-
Have you ever seen Black Mirror?
So technically that already
Yes.
exists.
I've seen some episodes of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
So they already have this system. When you get when you get life insurance or any sort of insurance, there's actually a MIB system. Is that? So any sort of information about how you act, who you are morally as a person is able to be looked up by an insurer.
Right.
That's how they write insurance. They underwrite insurance by looking at your credit score,
Right.
what it is you do for a job, and then any sort of medications and things like that. And then there's this social score, because what they want to really know is you're going to pay
Yeah.
your stuff, but they also want to know your lifestyle.
Yeah,
So this
like what you
exists.
eat, how you live, because
Yep.
they're always trying to like get out of paying and whatnot. So
Mhm.
like they want to know like how insurable are you?
And they all talk with each other, right? So like that's the thing, is once you're insured once, there's a report system, and they have the fair credit report system. But unless you're getting denied, you're not actually getting all of that information when they run your reports.
Yeah, and this is why like shout out to Luigi, man.
They said Luigi about to come home.
They said that?
So basically, I got some information. They say Luigi about to come home, man.
Ooh.
There's some little, it's a flux in the game. Somebody calling in some plays for him.
So okay. With Luigi, like is he a bad guy or is he a hero?
I think he's innocent.
Do you think he did what they said he did?
Nope.
Okay, break it down.
You know, because where we come from, we respect the shooter, not the victim, man. You feel me? Like,
Okay.
because when it boiled down to it, bro, like I always tell people this, history was written by the best group of killers, bro. Like every border that exists, every religious book that's been forced into the institution, without violence, none of that exists.
Right.
Like the country that we lived in, now that we live in right now, these guys was the best group of killers at that time. They killed all the bison to starve out the people they was fighting for the land. Like when it comes to the Roman Empire became the Vatican. How much blood is on the hands of those people?
Right.
When everything that exists, when it comes to political, when it comes to border existence, when it comes to creating policy and government, there's a level of violence that came with all of that. So nobody would know about the crimes and injustices that the guy who got shot. Nobody would know about that if somebody didn't push up on him and enact violence on him.
Yeah.
Because I firmly believe in order to combat evil, a man must be able to enact evil. Violence is just a tool in your toolbox. It shouldn't be your identity. It's something I struggle with sometimes because, people piss you off. And, it's nothing like that look in a dude's face when he know, damn, I got to fight today because I've been running my goddamn mouth. And, Luigi definitely, he made it hard for himself. He shouldn't be on camera smiling at nobody, before you go on a hit. But apparently there's some little loopholes going on.
You mean the legal system?
Yeah, so basically he had a cell phone set up. That was his phone, and it was on a call with somebody at the time where this was going on, when this hit took place. So,
Well, right, because you're innocent until proven guilty.
So all this is allegedly.
Yeah.
Right.
But we may see, he may get a bond, and I know for a fact that there's some people willing to pay that bond for him.
So you think he had help?
He was not a lone actor.
Okay, now, when he left that Monopoly money in the backpack, he's a very smart guy.
Smart guy.
He had an IQ of 120, 130, Ivy League guy.
Working at McDonald's.
Yeah, well, he was caught at McDonald's.
Let's say that was his day job.
He had a day job at McDonald's?
They say that McDonald's was his day job. He was still working there. He was still working there when they arrested him.
So, okay, he's a very smart guy. There's no way you're going to get caught in a McDonald's with the weapon and everything else, right? Now, he left the Monopoly money in the backpack like the damn Riddler, leaving clues everywhere. Now, why did he do that? So, in Monopoly, you can't play the game alone. So, literally, when you're playing Monopoly, if you guys ever played Monopoly,
Snap at that one.
he has other pieces on the board helping him, right? Now, he was using codes to tell everybody what was going on. He used two codes. The 286 code, how many pieces are in Monopoly total? 286. How many miles did he get caught away from the crime scene in McDonald's? 286. What route did he take to get to that McDonald's? 286.
Merchant. Okay.
Okay?
Okay, on the gas.
Even Proverbs 286 says, I'd rather be a righteous poor man versus a vicious, conniving rich man. I'm paraphrasing.
Ugly.
Okay? Now, he used another code. He's very smart. He used another code. Now, the 286 code, now to tie that all in, the 286 code is a denial code that the insurance company uses. The denial code is when you appeal and they give you a short amount of time to appeal, which people don't know, and they automatically deny you. So a lot of people died from their practices. Not to mention that United Healthcare, who has a monopoly on the whole healthcare system, right?
Which violates the monopoly laws that we have in place here in this country, which means they were backed by political parties who were all in cahoots.
Yes.
So are they the bankers, you think, then?
Of course.
Definitely international bankers for sure.
Of course. Now, okay, with the United Healthcare, it's just came out not too long ago that they raised a lot of their, I believe it was medication for cancer, if I believe,
Yes.
1,000%.
Yes.
Now, that, like you said, that wouldn't have came out if old boy didn't get clapped.
Facts.
Okay, so now he used another code, the 128 code that a lot of people have missed. Now, on his fake ID, it said 128 Sherman Place. What does that have to do with anything? 128 is actually linked to other major events throughout American history. Now, the 128 code he is alluding to all these major events because it's showing the corruption of America. 9/11, the first building collapsed at 1028. In numerology, you get rid of the 0, it's 128. Now, GameStop. Remember the GameStop squeeze?
Yeah, okay.
When did that happen? January 28th, 128. That's the big guys versus the little guys. Short squeeze. It's the big hedge funds versus all of us, showing that we have the power. Okay?
Right.
Now, he's showing all these different things because, again, it's showing the corruption and how they're encoded in all American history and whatnot. The bridge that you just talked about, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, what time did that collapse? 128.
See, that's what's spooky to me, because when you make all of these connections, it's got to lead somewhere, right? And we criticized the extremists and Islamic groups and all of those guys for martyring themselves, suicide bomb, and they're doing things where they basically they were going to die. We're watching that same thing happen here now. Luigi martyred himself, basically. Locked himself behind bars for life. The guy who had the ISIS flag, who attacked on New Year's in New Orleans, he martyred himself, ex-military. The guy who blew up the Cybertruck in Vegas in front of the casino, he martyred himself. When you start to see this path, the only thing that this leads to is an escalation, because as you connected all of those dots right now, linking all of these numbers from the Monopoly game, each time it was an escalation in violence. It was an escalation in destruction. So, everybody watching this, we need to stay on the path that Maverick just laid out, because maybe we can predict what's to come.
You know, I just predicted what happened in the last few events. You know how? What you just mentioned with the Cybertruck and New Orleans, all that is linked to the Super Bowl. Okay?
There's a lot of people trying to connect the Blackhawk with that too, because they were doing the numerology numbers and like linking that stuff, saying that it was possible satanic ritual for the Chiefs to win.
The Super Bowl is superb owl. Okay? It's really the superb owl.
And it's in New Orleans.
Here
we go.
Now.
And they have a deep history of a lot of stuff and a lot of mask wearing.
Here we go.
Now, I'm going to tell you why the Super Bowl is so important, you guys. And this sounds wild, but this is why billionaires believe in astrology and numerology and millionaires don't. Okay? Because there's like I said, a very medical, physical thing going on. Now, with the Super Bowl, where was the Super Bowl last year? Las Vegas. Where's the Super Bowl this year? New Orleans. Okay? So what just happened top of the year? Cybertruck in Vegas. New Orleans attack. They're following the cities, right?
Is this what I'm saying? Keep going, bro. Break it down.
Okay. So let me keep going. So now with what's just happened with the Blackhawk, American Eagle, or American Airlines. Now, the plane that was coming from Wichita, Kansas, American Airlines, it was called American Eagle. Who's in the Super Bowl right now?
The Eagles
and the Kansas Chiefs.
What's crazy about that is, right? Brian and I, shout out Brian Cooper, genius.
Yes, sir.
We were having a tumultuous time at the airport. Our first flight, they deboarded the plane because the plane was having problems. Brian tells the pilot, look, you're doing a great job. I'd rather us get off this plane than we get on the plane that's having problems. So they have people deboard and get on another plane. This happens to us twice. While we're waiting to return back, we see an American Airlines plane come up that say American Eagle on the side. I said, bro, you ever seen a plane like that? He said, you know what, bro? I never seen an American Airlines flight that say American Eagle. Brian said to me, he said, you know what, bro, hold on. If there's any problem with this, I'm going to call Dominique and have her book us a rental car. We're going to drive home.
That's a fact.
So imagine how those people feel. The guy when the helicopter collided with the plane, he says, "I hope somebody's pulling my wife out the lake right now."
Yeah, I saw that. That was terrible.
See, and then there was a person that you had brought up who decided to miss the flight.
Yeah. Now he was saying that he was actually, and this is where the conflicting reports are kind of weird. They were saying that because I read on many reports that
Shout out Big Sis Dominique with that rental car for them grand.
they were saying that oh boy missed the flight because his dog was too big. Then he says I wasn't supposed to be on the flight, and all this weird conflicting stuff. He put it on his Instagram that he was rerouted to Atlanta, and then but it shows that he was there in Kansas on his Instagram saying that, hey, I wasn't able to get on the flight. I had to be rerouted to go to Atlanta. So all these weird reports, I'm like, are they changing the narrative? Like, are they changing the whole thing? And then going back to the Super Bowl and whatnot and how all this is linked in, you guys, because I made a tweet and I'll pull it up. I want to pull it up right here. So I tweeted this on January 8th. I said, it's pretty interesting that all these Super Bowl cities are linked to, or all these events are linked to Super Bowl, right? So you have Las Vegas with Cybertruck, New Orleans with Bourbon Street. I said, keep an eye on Atlanta this year because the Super Bowl, the next one, and then the California fires.
Boom.
Now the next two Super Bowls are where? In California.
It's a land grab all day, man. You just connected all the dots right there. So everybody who be asking me in my inbox and questions, that's it right there. The connection has been made. We see what's going on because check this out right here. Secretary Pete Hegseth has evicted the New York Times, NPR, NBC, and Politico from their Pentagon offices to make room for One America News Network, the New York Post, Breitbart News Network, and the Huffington Post combined.
Huffington Post?
Yes. When you see the New York Times getting removed, why do they got Pentagon offices? Because you look into the history, Richard Doty, NSA Disinformation Agency, he was the one who was controlling the narrative in the news for years with misinformation. That's how deep it's going. So now we've seen Trump sue all of the major news networks and win. We've seen the Tate brothers just sue all of the major news networks for $1 billion.
Yeah, and then that's why it's giving way to new media, new press, because the White House just announced to where they allow new media, podcasts, influencers to come to the White House, get a press pass into the White House. I already applied. You should apply too. Yeah, I already applied. Yeah. So so that gives way to that, to where, you know, that new media lane is being opened. New media is here.
What was that application process like? What information are they collecting from you?
It's very simple. You put your name, your last name, your social media, and then one other thing. It's very simple. It's one page. They ask like 4 questions. It's very simple. So they're probably going to do like their due diligence on your social media and see what you're talking about and how credible you are. So it's not too like too much.
Was sure if you had to like fill out like a ton of stuff, like background type stuff?
Yeah, it was nothing like that. It was just like one or like it was like one page.
Nice.
So but this is why like I even look into the movies and whatnot, because what people don't know is the DOD has a film department.
Ran by Richard Doty before.
Yeah.
Misinformation agent.
So they use that as propaganda. So like, why does the DOD have the Pentagon, a whole department for, it's called the Entertainment Media Department. They work closely with Hollywood script writers, the producers, all that stuff. So
that's crass.
That's why I always look into movies, right?
Okay.
So going back to, what movie came out not too long ago called Leave the World Behind at the end of 2023 that predicted everything that happened over the last year?
Obama's movie too.
He produced it. So what are the chances, right? So get this. We have in the movie, if you remember, the Tesla crashes, like all the Teslas are crashing. We had the biggest Tesla recall ever last year. That's one. 2.
Do you think that they crashed them to put new parts in them?
Maybe. That's a good theory. Could be. Now, here's the thing. Now, we had planes falling out of the sky. What happened in the movie? Planes were falling out of the sky left and right. So we had all these planes. How many plane crashes have we seen in the last, 6 months?
We've seen more in the last 6 months that have happened in the last 20 years.
No coincidence. So that's what I'm saying. So like, how many plane crashes can we say like, oh, it's a coincidence before it's not a coincidence, right? So like, and then also in the movie, they had the blue screen of death where all IT went out. What happened last year? The biggest IT crash we've ever had with CrowdStrike.
With CrowdStrike, and then this year we've seen the T-Mobile cell towers went down. We've seen Verizon wireless cell towers go down. And on the Department of Justice website, they blame Chinese hackers operating out of New York.
Well, going back to like recalling something to be able to update it. When you have to do major updates to things need to get turned off, right? So you could crash something to be able to update it and switchboard it, right?
Yep. And I think this goes into the new financial system too, because in order to upgrade something, like you said, you have to shut it down. So I think that the next pandemic we're gonna get is a financial one. In order to implement this new system, this is why I tell people to get into digital assets, because they're using this system. I've been told, I have DMs from investment bankers telling me right now they're using XRP on their public digital ledgers right now because this is the new system. Now,
the blockchain.
Yes, the blockchain. This is what I'm saying. If you get ahead of the curve now, you're good because you will be in the system whether you like it or not. This is happening. Now, this is why they use movies to tell us. They had a movie, it was a movie by Disney Pixar called Elemental that came out in 2023.
Okay.
Now, put your mic a little bit.
Pardon me, sir.
Now, they're telling you what the new system is. So XRP and XLM are the two tokens that's going to be running the banking system and the financial system, right?
Okay.
Tell me why in this movie, the two main characters, go look this up, you guys, called Elemental. Amber Lumens is one character. The other one is Wade Ripple. The two tokens that's running the system is Stellar Lumens and Ripple, XRP.
Here we go.
Working in an ecosystem. This new financial system is an ecosystem. This is why I tell everybody to look up into these protocols because they will be using these tokens for the new financial system for cross-border payments. So when it comes to monetary transactions, money's about to move at the speed of light.
Which is 6 million miles per hour.
Yes. So when you send a wire, how long does it take, especially overseas?
Well,
48 hours, right?
It can happen instantaneously, but due to the laws they got in place, they shrink it out a little bit longer.
Right.
But,
so that's the SWIFT system. That system is old and outdated. Okay. The new system that's coming in, these digital assets, that's going to be moving these assets, right? They're going to be moving the money. So like when it comes to XRP, when it comes to XLM, so XRP is used for financial institutions. Brad Garlinghouse, which is the CEO of Ripple, just met with Donald Trump. Who do you think is building the new infrastructure? Why is he meeting with him?
Cook. Maverick cooking right now, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Man on fire. He's on fire. Let's go.
But yeah, this is why I tell people, this is why it's so important to get ahead of these technologies because people are going to be so lost. People are going to be in these smart cities. People are going to be using UBI, which is the Universal Basic Income, which they show you in media. Why did they come out with a cartoon on Fox called Universal Basic, guys? That's on the system.
It's almost as if there's a group that wants to drip feed information as they can without having to go through Dopser. Because Dopser is the platform that whistleblowers have to go through to get their messages approved to be released. Mm-hmm. And this is why they try to police modern media and new media because they can't constrict the flow of new information. Because something that's concerning me is we're watching American military personnel adopt tactics from the same groups of people that they fought for the last 20 years, which is martyrdom. Over in the UK, there have been several instances where news outlets will come out with damaging information about certain groups, and then guys will show up there with machine guns and execute everybody in the office. Based off the things we're seeing take place now, the threat for that is real here in our own country.
I mean, you said it earlier, right? To face aggression, you have to face it with aggression, right? It's in your
Right.
toolbox. So, I mean, people
Facts.
learn by replicating what they see, can control and manipulate faster.
Facts.
And this is why Trump is so necessary. Like, everybody's so pissed off at him. Everybody used to love him when he was on Fresh Prince and Home Alone and all this other shit. But now they making, songs about him. But all of a sudden he's the
Yeah.
bad guy when he wants to become the president. So this is what he's doing right now, what you said, fighting fire with fire. Deportation, like signing executive orders left and right. That's very necessary. Deeming Cartel as a terrorist organization. This is what we need. Getting rid of DEI, because a lot of people don't know, like, oh, it benefits black people. No, the people who benefit the most from DEI are white women.
Facts.
Then it's Asians, then it's Hispanics, then it's the gay community, then it's black people.
Yeah, when it comes to the African American population, we have to build our own. We have to build our own to empower our own. Under no circumstances can we depend on the silent majority to... Because if you look at the scheme of things, you're going to always prioritize your people and your family.
Of course.
So for them to hold it against the silent majority for doing that, it's ridiculous to me. We have to enrich and build ourselves and stop using the woke victimhood mindset when it comes to all of this.
Why do you think they put Obama in place? Because
Old
he was...
Barry.
Yeah, old Barry.
Old Barry.
I think he was probably, if he wasn't the worst president, one of the worst presidents we ever had.
Like I said, I always told people we'll never see a president of my complexion. They got Obama. They was gonna go with Kamala. They the same complexion, man.
And then the reason I break it down that way is because no progression has been made. He was a token, right? So like
his own city, bro. Murder capital of damn near the world. He did nothing to stop it.
Nothing.
He lived there.
And then people were talking about Trump deporting people. He deported tens of millions of people.
Yes, he did. They're the ones who built the cages.
Right. So when you're going back and looking at the data, like he financially fucked us, because what people don't know and look into what he signed, Obama signed the Dodd-Frank Act, which makes you an unsecured creditor. So when you deposit your money into the bank, guess what? Now your money is the burden of the bank.
Crazy.
Next time they crash.
Crazy.
So the bank crash in 2008.
Yep.
Okay. He signs the Dodd-Frank Act, making everybody an unsecured creditor.
Thanks.
So the next time we crash, guess what? What they're going to do? It's not a bailout. It's called a bail-in. So they're going to start taking money out of your account now.
And they're going to disband the FDIC then.
Yeah. This is why they created like this whole system, because they created it for them. And this is why we go back into the Federal Reserve, how it's a foreign entity, and how those bankers were on the Titanic who opposed the Federal Reserve.
And that's the thing. Like, that's how deep this goes, man. Like, they ain't crashed. The boat crashed because it was too many policymakers controlling the money on there, man.
I want to ask you a question. When did the Titanic sink? I'm gonna trip you out. When did the Titanic sink? Look it up.
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
128.
No, not 128. Not 128. It crashed
April 14th, 1912.
Well, April 15th, the wee hours.
So it's April 14th and 15th, 1912 was the Titanic sank.
What happened the next year? The Federal Reserve was created.
Yeah, they took out.
Now, the three guys, the three billionaires that was on that Titanic, they opposed the Federal Reserve. Can anybody tell me why JP Morgan, which was for the Federal Reserve, opted out the last minute, being on the Titanic, leaving all his luggage and getting off?
Yes, the same way that the guy who was supposed to fly with Kobe on that helicopter, and just like the same guy, 'cause we seen all the crypto billionaires planes start crashing.
Yeah.
You see a couple guys who got off before it went down.
They already knew.
They knew already.
The Titanic sank on April 15th. Now, what day is April 15th? We know it today. Tax day.
Damn.
It's a big FU to the American people saying, no, we're going to do this and we're going to get our bread.
Facts. Because like you just said earlier, you're just a number.
Exactly. You're a number on a piece of paper to where they trade with the International Monetary Fund. And this is why you got to take control of being, in control of your straw men.
That's why they wanted to try to get a hold on crypto.
Yeah, because you circumvent the whole system.
Facts.
You're completely out. You become your own bank with DeFi. Decentralized finance is the future because you become your own bank. You can gain your own yields and you're out of the system. Why do you think Donald Trump is making all American cryptos tax-free?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the same reason he wants to disband income tax.
Yeah,
Same
because that's
reason
the whole system.
He's sending
He knows.
80,000 IRS agents to go patrol the border. He going crazy.
He going crazy.
He opened up Guantanamo Bay. He's like,
Yeah.
hold on, we sending y'all over here now.
He's
Hold
going
on.
crazy right now, and
On
we
the
need
gas.
it because he knows the system that we're in. He knows that we're all financial slaves right now. Yeah. So
Gots to be
he
more
knows the whole
careful.
game plan, and that's the thing. This is why I don't understand why a lot of people are mad with him, because look at what a man does.
Spookism.
Yeah, it's spookism, right? So like
Spookism.
when you're talking about getting rid of income tax, you guys know
It's
how big.
optional. That's what people don't
It's
realize.
optional.
It's an
Nobody knows
optional
this.
thing. Like people,
It's
are
It's
like-
not in the
Spookism.
original Constitution.
They're just people get mad about something that they know that they themselves are paying into, and they don't understand it. This is the problem. People don't understand it, so then they're upset. They think that somebody's getting an advantage. No, this is an advantage that every single person has a right to. You just choose to pay taxes.
Yeah, it's all voluntary. And after the war, it was voluntary, and then they just kept it in place. So now you're like, oh, okay, I think I need to pay taxes. Well, you actually don't if you know the system. So
Or if you
You
read,
can
like
be
you said
exempt.
earlier, read.
yeah, exactly.
And there is no he said over here, no taxation, no representation. But at the same time, right? Dead entities can't represent themselves because you're a corporation, right?
Uh-oh.
So then where is the representation? And that's the crazier part.
And
Like,
that's why you need a lawyer, because when you actually pass the bar literally in a courtroom, you're considered dead in the deep sea. And when you're saying that, hey, I'm hiring this lawyer to speak for me, you're saying you're incompetent and you can't understand anything, so this person has to speak for me. Now, a lawyer has a allegiance to the court and not you.
yep, always above.
They actually work for the court system. They represent the court system. You're just saying, hey, I don't know what the hell's going on, so I got to have this guy talk for me, but he's talking for the court.
And for everybody
Just
that's
like-
watching, when you see these videos where they show people in court where they're not allowed to speak and there's a lawyer next to them, until the lawyer is disbanded from it and you then present for yourself. You can't represent yourself. You don't have the right to.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's why you don't speak. You're not allowed to speak.
Yeah. So when you accept that, you're saying you're a ward of the court, which is actually an incompetent person, a child. You have to have somebody oversee you. So you're a ward of the court.
This is why the guys in Silicon Valley who put together the initiative to try to break us out of the matrix with a team of hackers, they also said they wanted to pay the bail for every person in the country in order to crash the legal system.
Yeah. Yep. And that totally makes sense, because the system we're in right now, I'm telling people right now, get into these digital assets, take advantage. Trump
I'm
is
definitely getting it to him, man. I'll be listening to you. I'm like, man, hold on.
I'm just saying, it's the
It's
new
time-
system.
It's time for the Maverick coin. to
Yeah,
come out.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up, man. We can go all day on this.
We got to go back tomorrow because I when we get off, there's some shit I got to bring you up to speed on.
Okay, all right. You already
This-
know.
and I love this setup right here. We got the fact
Oh yeah,
checking.
yeah.
what's
We already
going
know.
down.
We already know.
Shout out Shaq and Kobe. Shout out
Shaq
Maverick.
and
folks. We
Kobe.
outside. Let's go.
Yes, sir. So, oh yeah, real quick, we'll touch on this real quick, then we'll jump off. I wanted to bring this up. A former senior advisor for Obama was
Break it down.
just got caught, and he was sentenced to 11 years for trying to rape a 9-year-old girl in the UK.
I'll be in the UK next month. We're going to punish some pedophiles. Be on point.
All right, that'll do it for Maverick Approach. The Bleach Blonde herself is here.
Shout out to Bleach Blonde.
We got Big
Big
Homie
homie.
CC. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You want to find me? First and foremost, thank you to Maverick for having me again. You feel me? I'm going to send the link to the merchandise. You feel me? Go grab some shirts. We go drop a Maverick and BA shirt. The Shaq and Kobe shirt going to drop.
Oh, yeah.
We'll post the link. Big Homie CC. You can find me on Instagram, all platforms. We working.
Yes, sir. Make sure you guys question everything and nothing is what it seems. Peace.